Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Ross, and thanks very much for being with us here on Power Pro Wrestling. Today, a very special program. We'll be focusing on 4 great tag team combinations. We'll see Chavo and Hector Guerrero go against Stan Lane and Steve Keirn, better known as the Fabulous Ones. That match taking place from Houston, Texas. We'll also see the Mid-South Tag Team Champions, Ted DiBiase and Dr. S.D. Williams, in action during this hour. And we'll also see Jim Cornette's World Tag Team Champions, the Midnight Express, during this hour of Power Pro Wrestling. Not to neglect single competition, we have Dick Murdoch against Al Perez. We'll also see a very impressive rookie, Dave Peterson, in action here on Power Pro in just a few moments. It's going to be a great hour. We'll also have some very special interviews as the hour progresses. And by the way, all 4 of the tag teams that you're going to see during this hour are bidding to be in the competition for the $1 million purse that'll go to the winner of the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tag Team Tournament, to be held live in the Superdome on Saturday night, April the 19th. We'll have more details on that, and we'll have our first match right after this timeout.
The Tulsa Convention Center, as we see newcomer to the Mid-South, Dave Peterson, in action. This match joined in progress. You can see the fans solidly behind Dave Peterson. This man was a television champion in the world-class wrestling area. We here at Mid-South feel that he is a rookie with quite a bit of potential, as is Gustavo Mendoza. Look at this, both men coming off the ropes, going for the same maneuver simultaneously. A clothesline, both of them dropped by it, both men getting up slowly. It looks like Peterson with a slight edge there. Peterson, a very finely conditioned athlete. Heard Jim Ross mention before that he looks quite a bit like Magnum TA, and I kind of tend to agree with that myself. Gustavo Mendoza going to the ropes purposefully to try and break that hold, but Carl Fergie breaks it for him. Fans solidly behind Dave Peterson once again. Oh, nice step over move there by Dave, using that arm bar and twist to its utmost effectiveness. You hear Gustavo Mendoza groaning in pain. Coming up later in the hour, we're going to see the Midnight Express. We're going to see Chavo and Hector Guerrero against the Fabs in a match that is the first of a 4-part series of matches between Guerreros and Fabs from Houston, Texas. That is a great main event. Stay with us. Gustavo Mendoza kicking to the hamstrings. Now you hear the chant from the fans changing to USA as the Cuban assassin goes for a ride, gets elevated high up, feels the sting of the canvas. Dave Peterson slams him down again, attacking that back area with 2 different moves, and then he went to an elbow. Well, there's Peterson with that Luthez press. He locks him up, and you notice he cradled that leg with his own legs. A beautiful move by Dave Peterson, gaining him a fall and a win here on Power Professional Wrestling. Let's go back to Jim.
A great victory for rookie Dave Peterson. He hails from Missouri. We're going to hear a lot more from that fine conditioned athlete as he defeated Gustavo Mendoza from Havana, Cuba, here on Power Pro Wrestling. In just a few moments, we'll be back with Jim Cornette's World Tag Team Champions, the Midnight Express versus the Italian Stallion and Rocky King after this timeout from Mid-South Sports Network. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Ross with this special reminder that Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Terry Taylor will be in Covington, Louisiana at the new Walmart store on Saturday, March the 8th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They'll be there. Come out and meet those 2 great Mid-South athletes at the grand opening of the new Walmart store. Now, that's located on Highway 190 at I-12. It's in cooperation with Magnalite Cookware and Lisi Gumbo Pots and Fryers. Also in Thibodaux on Sunday, March the 9th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a 6-man elimination tag match, an I Quit showdown, a 20-man spectacular in Thibodaux, Sunday, March the 9th at 3 o'clock. Now, right here in New Orleans, on Sunday night, February the 23rd, 7 o'clock, Dog Collar Showdown. Hacksaw Duggan against Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. 2 championship matches, 9 great matches in all. And now let's hear this from the Mad Dog.
You know, Dugan, everybody out there in TV land and the whole world, we all know how ugly you are. And when you stand there proud as a peacock looking around and all them crazy thousands of people are cheering. But did we know you were so stupid to sign for a dog collar match? You think you're ugly now? Wait till I'm done here with you. I ain't never been beat by nobody in the whole world. I beat the Junkyard Dog. I beat them all. And now they say there's a new legend. His name is Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Well, I'm a legend killer, Jack. So you come on and put this around your neck and let's go to town.
Remember now, Hacksaw Duggan and Terry Taylor in Covington at the new Walmart store on Saturday, March the 8th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. A lot of free food, a lot of fun. But Hacksaw Duggan's not going to have any fun in the Dog Collar Showdown. Let's hear his comments.
Sure, it's your kind of match. A lot of people will say, Hacksaw, your knee may not be 100%. Your name may not be ready to jump right in there. Strap on his dog collar around your neck. Put that 10-foot steel log and chain in between, baby. Ring the bell. Tell the referee to get out of the way and go to war. Well, you people out there, you Mid-South, you my family, you know me better than that, baby. Buzz Sawyer, if you want to fight on top of a building, if you want to fight out in the parking lot, if you want to go to some bar and finish it with pool cues, it makes no difference. But we're going to do it your way. Dog collar, strap it on. Not my kind of match, baby. But like you know, Sawyer, you've been on me before, and I've come back. This time I'm going to finish you, tough guy.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, 9 great matches, 2 championship showdowns. It's all going to happen Sunday night, February 23rd, right here in New Orleans at the beautiful Lakefront Arena. Tickets are only $8, $5, and $3 on sale at all Ticketmaster outlets. We'll talk more about this card in the hour.
Rock and roll is dead. I present the new NWA World Tag Team Champions, Loverboy Dennis and Beautiful Bobby, the Midnight Express.
There you see the World Tag Team Champions, the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette. But, Tony, you heard the Rock and Roll Express, and you saw what they have for Mr. Cornette.
They have Dusty Rhodes' Betty Lou.
Oh, yes.
High up above the ring, Jim Cornette in that cage. There's no way you can put a tennis racket through that cage.
That's true.
He gets another tennis racket. That thing is stuck.
Look at Cornette already pounding on the mat. Still has that tennis racket. He also has those World Championship belts over his shoulder. He's afraid to let go of them.
Well, you know, because of his antics with the tennis racket, the fine was levied by the NWA, and then I understand he and his mother are trying to get an injunction to stop that fine.
That is right. And they, Tony, I hate to say it, but they have got that injunction.
Oh, they have it?
They do.
Oh, my. Well, it's amazing. Jim Cornette comes on here. He uses the racket blatantly on TV. A fine, many people say, hey, a fine is not enough. And he gets an injunction to stop it.
Tony,
hour coming up. World heavyweight champion Ric Flair and also world television champion Arn Anderson are going to wrestle a new team. A team, Risky Business.
Have you ever seen them? Have you ever seen them wrestle?
No, but I understand it's full of surprises. Watch out. Here's Bobby comes out. Elbow. Right in the chest of Rocky King.
There's no doubt about it. This Midnight Express, the World Tag Team Champion. But you know, Jim Crockett Promotions very happy that the NWA has sanctioned a tag team tournament and has named the tournament in memory of Jim Crockett Sr. It's the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup, and it will go to a tag team that wins a one-day tournament. All the great tag teams in the world will be there. The only question right now is what city will be the home of this tournament? What city? That is executed perfectly. A lot of cities around the country bidding to host the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup. Where will it be? You can rest assured that the Midnight Express will be part of the tournament because they are the World Tag Team Champions. And here's why, David. Excellent move by Loverboy Dillon.
That is right. Watch him pick Rocky King up and take him and drive his head straight into the mat. Jim Cornette's World Tag Team Champions victorious here on Power Pro Wrestling. I know Cornette is lobbying very hard to get his World Tag Team Champions into the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tournament. $1 million will go to the winner of that tournament, and some of the biggest names, some of the greatest teams in wrestling history will be entered, and it will be a live event, by the way, Saturday night, April the 19th in New Orleans in the 8th wonder of the world, the Superdome. And we'll keep you updated as to the teams that have been cleared for competition in that tournament. Coming up in just a few moments, it'll be Al Perez versus the rowdy Texan Dick Murdoch after this timeout from your station.
Well, as the bell sounds, it ought to sound. There it is. It's the call to the bell. Preceding it. But it is Big Richard Murdoch. And he is the North American champion, and that is a title that is highly regarded all around the wrestling world. He is defending it against Al Perez. Now, Perez is the man with the dark hair and the mustache. And Captain Redneck, Dick Murdoch, Waxahachie's favorite son, is the man who executed that takedown and comes up with an armbar. Now, Murdoch is one of those rare people. He's a man who thrives on action. He's a man who you would hate to meet in an alley and have to fight your way past him. This is the kind of a guy he is. He furthered that when he was in the Marines and got to enjoy the kind of life he led there, but in wrestling, he finds a great substitute for that tremendous energy that he has. Tough character. And as Al Perez tries to take him with the sunset flip, he almost succeeds. He went over the back and upset him, and Dick Murdoch looks over, and he wasn't quite certain whether he ought to haul off and wallop him one or shake hands, so the handshake won. But you could tell Murdoch was thinking of letting Perez have one right to the whiskers. Side headlock. Murdoch comes from a wrestling family. Frankie Murdoch, his father, and his uncle was known as Farmer Jones, Paul Murdoch. And there is a nice sunset flip for Dick Murdoch, and Murdoch almost turned the tables on Al Perez. Now, Perez has a great style. You look at him and you're looking at a fine athlete, the picture book athlete, the man with a great body, the man with the muscle. You look at Dick Murdoch and he is rotund, but I say if you want to look for the strength of Dick Murdoch,
you want to go and get some books from back in the 1920s when weightlifters all had that rotund appearance that Dick Murdoch presents, but had the very, very center of their strength right in that belly that they carry around so proudly. Count was 2, and Tommy Gilbert got down there to watch those shoulders on Captain Redneck, and Redneck, who takes pride in that North American title, is not going to be giving it up here without a fight. In behind Al Perez, and Perez suddenly finds himself underneath. So with a sly little move that most of the fans in the building missed because they were looking for some sort of an obvious reaction, Murdoch just turned Perez momentum against him, moved him in the direction he was going, and came out to ride him on top here, covering the legs. Now he's let them go and holding the arm. So he favors the arm. He's got it an arm bar. The arm is out straight. The pressure is on the elbow. And doing the riding, doing the work on the twist is Captain Redneck himself. Tommy Gilbert gets in, asks Al Perez if he wants to capitulate. There's no sign from Perez that he's going to. Double wrist lock takes him down with a vengeance. And he landed and landed hard. Double wrist lock, the favorite hold of many, many wrestlers because it can be used from so many positions and gets the other guy in trouble by changing his whole balance. One of the fiercest exponents of the double wrist lock was Lou Thesz, one of the great, great champions of all time. Tommy Gilbert looking closely, looking underneath there, watching for Al Perez's shoulders to come close to the canvas. There are Perez fans in the audience, of course, but there are also Captain Redneck fans in this audience. And still the double wrist lock at the 5-minute mark. A crotch hold, a lift, and a slam, and he literally threw him away from him and landed him on the canvas. There's a wrap-up. He hooked the leg and rolled him into position on his shoulders, and the sparks literally flew from Dick Murdoch, who was underneath. He felt those shoulders there, and there is a kind of a signal that goes to a wrestler when he feels those two shoulders touch the canvas, that either move him into defeat or they garner him into action and bring out the best in him. Murdoch got away from that fast. Flying there, and now Perez gets in. Oh, he dropped that knee just at the base of the neck, and, well, again, it's Murdoch who decides that this is the time for action. He uses that elbow well. He can use it in any direction. He can catch you in places you wouldn't suspect. But he is also a man who can follow up with this type of an attack or a wrestling attack. Well-rounded wrestler. If you ask him which he likes best, he'll grin at you, and he likes to get in there and take on a guy who is going to throw fists and feet at him. Beautiful leapfrogs that time, but to put him into position. And Dick just caught the edge of a foot that time, and if Perez had fallen squarely, why, he might have taken advantage of it. The backslide, and it was awful close. Awful close. Side headlock. Al Perez holding that blonde head of Dickie Murdoch. Hair cut down, Marine-style short. He could pass inspection for that. Back body drop. Oh, man. Now, there was a definitive picture of exactly how The back body drop is expected to work. And here comes Murdoch with the answer to keeping him on the canvas, too, and just barely got that shoulder up, and Perez is in trouble. That back body drop, when you drop on your shoulders and your neck and your head, you're in bad position. He ran into a stone wall that time. The stone wall turned around and set up an elbow and caught him as he rushed in. Watch this front headlock. He's going to heist him up. A suplex hold. He's got him way up in the air. And there goes Perez in behind. And he is going after Murdoch and the North American title. But Murdoch gets around. And there it is. A 3 count as Dickie Murdoch. Long, rangy, tough, rugged. So the redneck hangs on to the North American title, but I think Perez made him realize he was in a scrap.
The rowdy Texan from Waxahachie, Dick Murdoch, defeating Al Perez here on Power Pro Wrestling. The commentary by the Dean of Wrestling Announcers, Paul Bosch from Houston, Texas. We'll have more action from Houston, Texas coming up in just a few moments. Great tag team battle between the Fabs and the Guerreros. 2 more teams vying to have their name on the roster for the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tag Team Tournament. And we'll have that great tag team match after this exciting announcement from Mid-South Sports. Before we talk about the next New Orleans event, ladies and gentlemen, please remember and please join us in Covington at the new Walmart store on Saturday, March the 8th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Terry Taylor will both be there. A lot of free food, a lot of fun for everybody at the grand opening of the new Walmart store. It's located on Highway 190 at I-12. It's in cooperation, ladies and gentlemen, with Magnalite Cookware and Lisi Gumbo Pots and Fryers. Also, what a card coming to Thibodaux on Sunday, March the 9th. A 20-man spectacular. It's going to feature a 6-man elimination tag match, an I Quit showdown, and much more. Tickets are $10, $7, and $4 in Thibodaux at the Civic Center on Sunday afternoon, March the 9th at 3 o'clock. Now, Sunday night, February 23rd, right here in New Orleans at the Lakefront Arena starting at 7:30, Jake Roberts will challenge Dick Slater for the North American title. Slater's the champion. This match with no disqualifications, and Dark Journey is going to be suspended high above the ring in a small steel cage. Let's hear these comments from Mr. Unpredictable.
What a rotten deal. Of course I'm happy about having the North American Heavyweight Championship title right back around my waist. But all of a sudden, right back to the same old story, Jake Roberts. Mid-South has protected you ever since I've climbed in the ring with you. Now I got to put Journey what she doesn't want to be in a cage hanging up like a monkey. And I know you don't want to be in a cage. I know right where you want to be, don't you?
I want to be right with you.
Well, I want you to be right with me, too. But see, Jake Roberts, the cards are stacked in your favor. Well, see, Journey has never done anything to you at all, and all of a sudden she's up in a cage. Well, Jake Roberts, the North American title's up, the DDT's legal, and I'm going to have to fight you, and I'm going to be the better man.
One of the more touching interviews we've heard, she wants to be next to her man. Well, she'll be high above the ring in a small steel cage, and the DDT will be legal. Let's hear this from the master of that maneuver, Jake the Snake.
You know, in my lifetime, a lot of people have walked beside me, Dick Slater. But you know, they walked alone because a lot of people don't know me like they think they do. Now I've pushed you to the limit. Look what I did to your woman. She does look good at times. I got to give the girl that. But you see, girl, you lined up on the wrong side of the fence. You picked the wrong man to walk beside. So let's put you in a cage. And Slater, if you want me so bad, and I know you gotta want me by now, let's put the North American title up. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here, North American title. No disqualification. That way you can do anything you want. And I've always done what I wanted. What do you say, tough guy? Try me.
It's all going to happen Sunday night, February 23rd, 7 o'clock at the Lakefront Arena. Tickets are only $8, $5, and $3 on sale now at Ticketmaster outlets.
It's Buck Robley, but I'm with Super Pro Wrestling, and we'll be appearing in the area March the 1st in La Ranger at 8 p.m. We'll be in Metairie, Louisiana at the Landmark Motel on Sunday, March the 2nd at 7 p.m. Such stars as the Oates Brothers, Mr. Two, Wrestling, Mr. Two is coming back. Mike George is back. My old nemesis, Skandor Akbar, is going to be here. Many, many more stars. So look for us in the area. We'll be here.
Coliseum's the site. More great Power Professional Wrestling main event action. Two of the tag teams who have put in their bids for the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament for $1 million. The Guerrero brothers, Chavo and Hector, going against the fabulous ones, Steve Keirn and Stan Lane, as Hector Guerrero doing some somersaults around Stan Lane, kind of confusing him there. Lane goes to the corner. Both Lane and Keirn exhibit a similar wrestling style to one another, I've noticed. They're kind of tentative at the beginning of the match, and a lot of times you won't see Stan Lane tie up like he is right now until later on, of course. I think Hector Guerrero had a lot to do with that, putting him in the headlock forcefully. Hector with a hard shoulder smash coming off the ropes. Stan Lane ducks under. Hector quick to the sunset flip. Lane with the reversal. Like I said before, Lane and Keirn both can be very tentative. They like to scout their opponents out, sit back and keep their distance from them until they could get some momentum going. Collar and elbow tie up. Hector to the headlock. And he went from the hammerlock to the back heel takedown in no time at all. And he goes back up to a headlock. Tag into Chavo. Chavo, the older brother of the Guerreros, fantastic athlete, great amateur wrestling background, great technical wrestler. Stan Lane using the hair there to pull Chavo Guerrero down. Lane motioning for Keirn to come in. Stan Lane was trying to take advantage of referee Tommy Gilbert being out of position, but to no avail. And Steve Keirn really twist that arm lock in. Guerrero with a front flip reversal. Nice move. Both men back up even. Chavo and Hector made quite a name for themselves in the Mid-South area. They weren't always fan favorites, mainly because they were after the Rock and Roll Express and the Mid-South Tag Team titles. Just about anybody who goes up against the Rock and Roll Express is not going to be the favorite. But Chavo and Hector Guerrero, in the hearts and minds of the fans in Houston, are very well loved and liked. Chavo now with the leg scissors on the head of Stan Lane, I believe it is. Lane up trying to get out of it, but Guerrero holding on. Now Guerrero in that situation was putting himself in a pinning predicament. If you've ever seen a match that has ended in what's called an offensive fall, it could be very frustrating, because Guerrero was the one who actually had the hold, and he ended up in the pinning predicament. Hector, again, continues the hold, and that's one thing about the Guerreros. Their tag team strategy is really good. They've been wrestling together for years and years, being brothers. It seems like sometimes they practically read each other's mind out there, and when one person gets a hold started, like Chavo just did, Hector Guerrero is very good about following it up, as is Chavo. Stan Lane has really got to be hurting now. Hector continues to apply the punishment. Now this match here is the first in a four-part series that we'll have on the Guerreros against the Fabulous Ones from Houston. We'll have another match next week on them, and in the upcoming weeks, previous to the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament, we'll be showing you highlights of some of the teams that are bidding on that and some of the teams that have been signed. Some of the greatest teams in all of wrestling. Stan Lane arguing with referee Tommy Gilbert. Or pardon me, Steve Kern. Have to excuse me, sometimes it's hard to tell those two apart. Lane and Kern once again discussing their ring strategy here. Again, we see the tentativeness of this team. I've heard some people refer to it as cowardice, but I don't know about that. I think these two men are extremely wily, very tough wrestlers. Tommy Gilbert is now beckoning Stan Lane to come out and wrestle. Tommy was threatening to disqualify him if they didn't get in there and mix it up. I think that's good officiating on the part of referee Tommy Gilbert. You know, it's kind of like in a basketball game when one team gets the distinct advantage and starts stalling, and they make the pace so tedious and boring. In that case, I think it's up to the referee and the rules to make it more exciting. That's one thing about professional wrestling. You got to keep going. You got to get distance. And you got to definitely be a great athlete. And the pace of a professional wrestling match is one of the things, just one of the things I think that make it such an exciting sport to watch. So we see Steve Kern with the headlock now on Hector Guerrero. We see the positions are changing between these two teams. Hector Guerrero trying to get up to a base. He makes it and starts with the short forearms to the ribs of Steve Kern. Hector loosens it up just enough to fire Steve off, but he didn't quite have his balance as Steve nailed him with that shoulder smash. And whoa, man! Hector with a stomach throw, arm drag, 2 arm drags. He takes it down. He's got him in a pinning predicament. But Steve Kern with a quick reversal. Chavo Guerrero there started to come into the ring, and I think it was mainly because Stan Lane was trying to come in and help his partner. Chavo checking that very quickly. Hector using the hair on Steve Kern. Tommy caught him, however, forcing him to break the hold. Hector and Chavo, of course, no stranger to breaking the rules here and there, but they can wrestle as scientifically and as cleanly as need be if that's what it takes to win a match. Steve Kern tightening that headlock up as Hector takes him into the corner, the turnbuckle area. Oh, man. He just nailed Hector. Oh, but Hector reverses it this time. Steve Kern tried to go to the well, and he gets elevated. This match has been a seesaw battle so far. The two men going back and forth. And with the quickness of these 4 people, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of this kind of action. We'll be seeing more of it in just a moment, but at this time, we're going to have to take time to fulfill our commercial commitments. We'll be right back in just a moment with the conclusion of this great match. Be sure and stay with us. Chavo Guerrero trying to come in and save his partner and brother Hector, but the Fabulous Ones are really putting it to Hector, really punishing him as referee Tommy Gilbert tells Chavo Guerrero to get out of the ring. We're back here on Power Professional Wrestling with more of this great main event, the Fabulous Ones against Chavo and Hector Guerrero from the Sam Houston Coliseum. Referee Tommy Gilbert was trying to put Chavo Guerrero out, and that left Chavo's brother Hector to be punished by both the Fabulous Ones. And that's something we see so often in tag team competition, is when a certain member of the team is in the ring when he shouldn't be, and the referee has to go and put him out. As he's doing that, a lot of times people can take advantage of the fact that the referee is out of position, his back is turned, and oftentimes you can even see a decision in the match rendered just from that point in time. And Stan Lane there with a tremendous kick to the midsection on Hector Guerrero. Hector really laid out here, and he has a 10 count to return to the ring. Chavo trying to urge him on, and I'm sure the fans are urging him on as well. Oh, man. Steve Keirn with a kick there on the outside of the ring. There again, we see Tommy Gilbert distracted by what was going on. Chavo is really getting frustrated. Now, so many times we get letters from fans saying, why don't you have 2 referees in big tag team main events like this, because it's so hard for one person to call the match. A lot of times there have been situations where we've used 2 referees to call a match, and many times it has helped, but other times there have been, decisions that are just as controversial from having 2 referees as 1 referee. I've watched a lot of amateur freestyle wrestling as well, and they use 3, sometimes even 4 referees to call a match between 2 people. That's not even a tag team match. That's just 2 people, and still there are mistakes. I recall in the 1984 Olympics, there's one guy who had the gold medal won. He had the gold medal in his hand, and then even with 3 referees watching the match, they had to go back and change the decision by videotape replay. And now, Stan Lane is really putting the punishment to Steve Keirn. Pardon me, Stan Lane really putting the punishment to Hector Guerrero there. And Steve Keirn comes over and pulls Hector up by the hair. Now, Hector is in a bad predicament, mainly because of the double teaming of the Fabs. But you have to realize that this double teaming is not all the fault of referee Tommy Gilbert. Chavo Guerrero needs to stay in that corner, and here he comes into the ring again. Now there he risks possible disqualification just to save his brother. If Tommy Gilbert, if his head had been turned 10 more degrees, I guarantee you we would have seen a disqualification rendered right then. Chavo Guerrero again being put out of the ring, and Tommy Gilbert, I'm sure, is being distracted as Steve Keirn applies a chokehold here. He goes into the rear chin lock. Hector's up to his feet, but he's still in a lot of trouble. Sleeper hold. Steve Keirn with the sleeper. Hector Guerrero already in a lot of trouble, already in a bad predicament, and now he's in the sleeper hold. He's down to a knee, and this looks like it's going to be it. Oh, man. Keirn really has it locked in. Keirn could be making a mistake right here, though, because he looks like he's getting up a little bit high. He's losing some of his leverage now on Hector, but Hector is still in a bad predicament. I don't think he's even strong enough to try and break it, even though Keirn has lost a little bit of leverage at that point. But, of course, that's just my vantage point, and I'm not in there feeling the muscular reactions of Hector at this point. I'm sure Steve Keirn is doing the best that he possibly can to try and keep Hector down. Hector trying to keep a shoulder off the mat. He has to at least do that, if not be able to answer to the count and the test of Tommy Gilbert. As we see here, there's twice. One more time, if his hand falls limp, that's going to be it. Hector showed some signs of life there. Some referees may have called that a win, and Steve Keirn, I think, believes that he actually won the match, but Tommy Gilbert is saying no. Tommy Gilbert said no, and that is controversial in itself. I think Keirn made a mistake. He was a little bit too cocky. If he'd have kept that sleeper on for just a little bit longer, he may have had it. But, of course, he thought he won the match. A rear chin lock now. You can see Steve Keirn with using the leverage down in the small of the back and the chin area on Hector. Extremely painful hold. Stan Lane coming off the second rope. A little bit more double teaming from the Fabs, but this time it's legal. They shaded the count. They can do that as well as anybody. Clothesline. Hector's down. Oh, now it's Stan Lane. Sets up with a Shinonamaki type hold. It's almost a reverse Shinonamaki. Stan had it on him, and Chavo Guerrero comes into the ring. Chavo this time using Tommy Gilbert's back being turned as a way to gain some momentum, and Hector's up with a flying body press. Stan Lane was a little bit off balance, and Hector caught him. Hector is so quick. I was saying earlier that Chavo needed to stay in his corner, but I think his interference there just saved his partner and gave him the break that he needed, because Hector Guerrero is going for it. Brother, he is outfoxing Steve Kern. And in comes Chavo. There's the tag. Chavo is circling back kicks. He really has the Fabs in trouble, both of them, with those kicks. And Chavo tags into Hector. A legal tag, but I think at this point that tag was probably moot, as Hector collides with Steve Kern, and Hector bounces off the ropes. Tommy Gilbert, the fans are signaling to Tommy Gilbert to count the fall. Hector Guerrero has Stan Lane pinned. He has him pinned. But here comes his partner, turns him over. Hector instinctively going for a fall. Tommy Gilbert with the count, but look at Hector. He has been beaten up, and now Chavo, I think, made a mistake by tagging Hector in, because Hector is tired. But wait a minute, he gets an inside drop cradle. Yes, he gets the fall. And the fans here at the Sam Houston Coliseum love it. Chavo and Hector Guerrero, the winners. Let's go back to Jim.
Hector and Chavo Guerrero proving once again that they're extremely hard to beat anywhere, especially in Houston, Texas at the Sam Houston Coliseum, as they defeated the Fabs in a great tag team battle here on Power Pro Wrestling. Both those duos are negotiating now to be among the competitors for the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tournament that'll be held in New Orleans on Saturday, April the 19th in the Superdome. Every team there, it'll be a live competition, a one-night tournament. We certainly hope that you'll join us on that date. We'll see another great tag team combination. Also, that are looking forward to the competition in the Superdome, Ted DiBiase and Dr. S.D. Williams. We'll have them in action right after this from the Mid-South Network. We hope you can join us Saturday, March the 8th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Covington at the new Walmart store to meet Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Terry Taylor. Should be a lot of fun. Bring the kids out for a great time at the new Walmart store in Covington, Saturday, March the 8th. Also, the big event in Thibodaux on Sunday, March the 9th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, right here in New Orleans on Sunday night, February 23rd, Lakefront Arena, the Mid-South tag titles on the line with some strange stipulations. Let's hear this from the challengers.
You know, DiBiase and Doc, I can't believe that you finally had the stipulations, mass versus titles, to get you in the ring and finally put them up. And any other stipulation, the disqualification counts as a pinfall. Boy, you talk about stacking a deck against the superstar and Dick Murdoch. You talk about stacking a deck. Well, let me tell you something, DiBiase and Doc. Look to my right and look to my left. You don't know which superstar it's going to be. It's going to be Katie Bar the Door.
You know, some time ago, Murdoch and I sat down and we thought of all the possibilities that these two gentlemen could come up with. We also thought about this one. There's no way you can prepare for it. It might be me, it might be the other superstar. Pick your poison, boys. Pick your poison. You better be ready, because you don't know what's going to happen to you.
The champions are ready, and they made this statement.
Our title's Dick Murdoch up against the mask of your superstar. The way I see that, we've got a lot more at stake in this match than you do, because we have our livelihood and our bread and butter to lose, and your partner's got a mask to lose. But it's worth us to take the chance, Dick Murdoch, because we want to know who we're dealing with. We want to know who the masked superstar is, or who the real masked superstar is, because whoever that was that hit the ring, there can only be one, and we want to find out who the other guy is. Now, pinfalls, disqualifications count as pinfalls. What that means, Doc, is we got to keep our composure.
Right.
And you, Murdoch, if you go like you've been going and getting disqualified to get out of things, then it's going to cost your partner his mask. So it's going to be down and dirty, any way you want it. But we've stood tall, and we're going to remain tall.
This Sunday night, you'll also see Terry Taylor, the Sheep Herders' Coco Beware. Terry Taylor goes against Rob Ricksteiner. Let's hear this.
A lot of people may be wondering why I'm wrestling with Rob Ricksteiner, and I'm not questioning his credentials. Rob Ricksteiner is a great wrestler. He's new to professional wrestling, but in the amateurs he has a great background, and the guy is really making a name for himself. But when it boils right down to it boils down to 2 words: Dick Slater. I made my intentions perfectly clear when I came back to Mid-South. I came here to be the North American champion, and I didn't expect anybody to hand it to me because I showed up. I plan on proving myself, and Slater's throwing challengers in front of me all the time because he doesn't want to wrestle me. So it comes right down to it, Rick Steiner, you happen to be in my way. I'm on my way up to that title, and you're in the way, and you're just going to have to get out of it. Because, Slater, I'm coming at you, and I don't care what you put in front of me or what you do. Sooner or later, that North American Championship will be mine.
This event, one fall with a 10-minute time limit, a tag team match. In the red corner, Ted DiBiase and Dr. Death Steve Williams. And their opponents, Brody Chase and Bad Bob Brown. Tommy Gilbert, your referee.
It's going to be the former Mid-South Tag Team Champions in action here on PPW. Boyd Pierce with the ring introductions. Referee Tommy Gilbert calls for the bell. DiBiase circling Bad Bob Brown. Bob Brown, an extremely powerful man. You can tell from his musculature. They go to the top wrist lock. DiBiase, a big, powerful man, but I think he's certainly matched in the strength department with Brown. Brown shrugs him out of that top wrist lock. DiBiase looking to Dr. Death, his partner. Once again to the top wrist lock. DiBiase's holding him, and I think this is probably the wrong department for DiBiase to try and compete with Bob Brown in. DiBiase definitely with the advantage technically and strategically, experience-wise. Like I said, he's a big, strong guy, but why match power for power when you can go to something that you do better? There he goes to the headlock. DiBiase and Doc, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many wrestling experts, one of the finest machines in wrestling today. These two men have really refined their tag team strategy. And of course, as I said many times, they are fantastic, phenomenal athletes. Dr. Death flexing those muscles. I think at that point, I think he outpowered Bob Brown a little bit. Whoa! Now there he definitely overpowered Bob Brown. I don't know if Brown is going to match Dr. Death in either the strength department or the raw technical expertise. There, Dr. Death, possibly technical expertise was the wrong term in that instance, but Doc certainly has the amateur advantage. He may not do it pretty, but he gets it done.
And I'm sure he's testing the nickname and ring name as far as Bad Bob Brown is concerned.
Oh, certainly he went to that reverse half Nelson, but it slipped off of the bald head of Brown. Oh! A hard shoulder smash, and Brown getting up very slowly from that one. Dr. Death with the tag in. DiBiase in now, and this could be it. There's a knee to the midsection, but I don't know if Brown achieved his total velocity out of those moves yet. DiBiase rushing that hold just a little bit. Whoa! DiBiase got Brown hard the side of the face. That big high vertical suplex. A hard knee across the neck area. There's that tag team strategy in action, Boyd. They have not let Brody Chase into the ring yet. They practically forced the tag. DiBiase gets a little bit cocky. I think DiBiase, in all of his wrestling greatness and expertise, manages to let his ego slide in a few times when maybe it shouldn't. Because this is an important match for them. They need to stay on the road and keep in contention for those tag titles. There, Dr. Death could have had the fall. He pulls Brody Chase up by the hair, and now maybe they're trying to make an example in this case. Power slam. Power slam. Dr. Death is not going to let Bob Brown come in and interfere.
And Ted DiBiase and Dr. Death Steve Williams proving why they're one of the top teams in professional wrestling. Now let's go back to the studio and Jim Ross.
A super victory for Ted DiBiase and Dr. Death Steve Williams, the Mid-South Tag Team Champions. And every week now, ladies and gentlemen, for the next several weeks, we're going to be featuring tag team combinations that are bidding to be among the competitors for the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tournament that will be held live in the Superdome in New Orleans on Saturday, April the 19th. Next week, we'll have another one of those teams. We'll also have a special look at Coco Beware here next week on PPW. And we'll also have a special return match between the Guerreros and the Fabs. Out of what has happened in the match that we saw earlier in the hour here on Power Pro Wrestling, a return match has been signed. We'll have that for you right here next week on Power Pro Wrestling. We'll also have more information on the big tag team tournament, the greatest one-night wrestling tournament in the history of professional wrestling, and we'll keep you updated on that situation next week on Power Pro Wrestling. For our whole crew, it's been a great hour. Thank you very much for being with us. We certainly hope that you'll be with us again next week for another exciting hour of Power Pro Wrestling. Until then, I'm Jim Ross. So long, everybody.
You're watching the Crescent City's premier independent station,